Whoa, whoa, something in the way she moves. All I have to do is think of her. Something in the way she moves. All I have to do is think of her. Something in the way she moves. All I have to do is. All I have to do. Okay. I think that's cool. Is my voice cool? Whoa, whoa. Need some coffee, though. Thank you, Totoro. And Mike. This is Mike. He's, he sits by my mirror drinking tea. Okay. Perpetually. If you haven't already noticed, if you haven't already noticed something about me, something is a little off. Off what? Okay, so what we're gonna do now, I started recording. Hi, everybody. Good morning. And looks like I sang a little song to start. I always just kind of do that when I check a mic. Check a mic. Mic a check. Mic. Check a Mike. So, 3 mixers in tandem. All right. How about what we do instead of just testing? We'll test at the end because the test should be simple. It's like whether or not it works and if there's noise. And then if there's noise, then there might be some kind of like real test to do after that. You know, that's the thing. You never know. But so, and it's not going to be an extensive, like, I'm going to test every signal through every knob. And I'm definitely not going to try to max out my new mixers and try to blow them just to see what their capacity is. No, I mean that wouldn't happen, obviously, but like not with this system anyway. I'm careful anyway. I'm way more careful than somebody who would have to worry about that. Okay. But what I'm going to do instead, actually, is I'm going to just quickly explain everything in my system, just in a way that makes sense, and not just keep on explaining the patch in like little ways and little ways and little ways. I can do that once the picture is clear because I've just set it just like that. And so I'm going to do that right now. Every knob explained, not every knob explained. I'll do a video like that, but this is maybe the dress rehearsal. This might not even be a video. Okay, so the DFAM. This doesn't need effects, and if it does, I can always add it afterward through the line level audio from the DFAM going into a mixer, and then it can have line level effects. So the DFAM is a real special beast here in terms of in comparison to all the rest of my stuff. It's gonna be actually always going just through the mixer. And also, although I'm going to do a more minimal thing today, um, and not use one of my rings, the rings can go into my mixer and not this. But I was going to say, you know, the system one can go into the mixer too, or it can go into the matrix mixer or whatever. It can be mixed into the Eurorack, but I'm also going to stick with going line level of that into a mixer. Ideally, this one right now, the stereo line mixer that I have, because it already has effects, for one. There's no point to it going through here, and if I want other channels for other things, then yeah. So basically, if I'm going to use this second rings, normally this would be how it would work. This is what I'd always do. This is how I'd always have it patched up. I'm not going to do much different than this ever, except that I'm going to use another rings, and it'll go into the Roland as well, which is the last mixer before the out to the line level world. Okay, so that is all to say that DFAM and System 1, they're just going to be line level out. Subharmonicon, however, I want to put Eurorack effects on. Ideally not the clouds, but another reverb that I don't have yet. That I don't know the nature of what exactly it would be. But there needs to be a reverb to use as a send for a 4-channel mix, of which the Subharmonicon is channel 4. And the first 3 are Platts modules. So basically, what I've got going on is I've got 3 mixers. I've got the first mixer intaking 4 channels, 3 Platts, and a Subharmonicon. And that's comes into the Doepher stereo mixer, right? And but instead of going stereo out left and right and using these nifty pan knobs for panning, the left I use for just a regular dry signal into the matrix mixer. This cool square of knobs here, that's our matrix mixer. It has 4 ins, 4 outs. Right? And it works like you'd think it would, even though it takes some thinking and some looking at it to think of stuff. Okay. So basically, I have one dry signal going into one in of the matrix mixer, and then that'll go out with 2 knobs to our out, which is up here instead of down here on this module. Thank you, 256K Labs. 256K Labs for your wonderful, beautiful matrix mixer, in which the outs are up here. Well, if you have it upside right. Okay. You can flip it if you want, just like any module. But so basically, my stereo out from my matrix mixer is going to go into my main out of the Roland, along with 2 rings into clouds, rings into clouds, and then everything else. That's my Roland. It's actually a 3-channel stereo mixer, or a 6-channel mixer. Basically, I'm using it as a 3-channel stereo mixer. One channel is my Platts, and Subharmonicon, all summed into left and right from my matrix mixer. The dry coming from the left, what would be the left of the Doepher stereo mixer, is my dry signal going straight through. But I can, with this matrix mixer, I can manipulate how much dry comes into the right ear and how much dry comes into the left ear. Okay, and then I've got my coming out of the right, what would be the right of the Doepher mixer. I'm not using my Doepher mixer as a stereo mixer, BTW. If you haven't noticed, by the way, I'm speaking already. If I'm confusing or clear or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, coming out of what would be the right, instead it's going to be my wet signal. Not wet yet until it goes into the effects module, which is clouds in this case, and then out to the matrix, just like the dry signal. So I've got the dry signal on left and right. And then in two ins, I've got left and right. I want to keep them separate because clouds does these wonderful things with it. And then have that be left and right at the end of the signal. And so in order to do that, I will assign them to these two outs, left and right, by these two knobs. And if I keep these wet knobs all the way up on the matrix mixer, or generally all the way up, and I'll end these two dry knobs on the matrix mixer all the way up, then what I can do is, instead of using these panning knobs on this first mixer, these four panning knobs for panning, what it is then is the crossfader between dry signal and wet signal with effects, without effects, with effects. And it's a strong dry signal if you take it to the left, and then when you take it to the right, it crossfades so that it's less of a dry signal and more of a wet signal. But if you want more control than that, I mean, that's a nice crossfader. It works well for performance. But if you want more control than that, I can take separate control of the left and right of both of those, and total amounts on this matrix mixer. Plus, if I ever want to, I have this whole side of this matrix mixer I'm not using, but I can always use it as a submix, as a different amount of effects mix that I could just switch to in a performance with another module, for instance. Or I can crossfade them by turning the knobs themselves into my second mix, and kind of fade into my second mix, and then the audio will be coming out of that instead of that, or something like that. But basically, that's not what I've got going on right now. What I've got going on right now is that I'm not using this whole left side. It's there for the sake of versatility, because I will want it in many situations, and I'll want to do all sorts of different things with this. And if I want whatever I want to do routing wise, I can, because I did this instead of getting a regular already set up 4-channel mixer with a send and stereo return. The Roland 531 mixer, although I have all sorts of things to say about it, but it's nice for having a separate left and right out as well, kind of like this matrix mixer. This is kind of the same concept. Because then you can make another mix of it, and then bring it out to another out, and then you've got this as your wet mix, and then your dry mix, and then you're going through an effects box, and then another mixer, and then you got your wet mix going out from that. And so sends and returns are really great. One reason why it's going to be really great for me is that even though I've got a dedicated clouds for a rings and dedicated clouds for a rings, I can use a clouds for plats for all my platses. Anyway, if I ever want to, I can do this that I'm doing today as a test, and use my clouds for 4 channels for my plats, and subharmonicon. And I could bring in more too, but that's the thing. Is there's a certain point at which you want a voice to have its own separate controls on its effects, because that gives you more versatility in your sound and what you can do with your song. So convenience is balanced with that ability to do things, that you want to do. And so how that works uh, here is just that um, that I want to have sort of a dedicated. I want to have a dedicated amount of reverb for each voice. Um, I don't necessarily have to have a different reverb module for every voice. That would be great, but that would also not be great to have to get 4 reverb modules at this point, more than I already have. Get a different reverb module every time you get a voice. Um, what I like better is the whole idea of send and returns. And my cat wants in the front, although the back is wide open. She just always does this. Anyway, so, but basically, what that means is that, yeah, I do want another reverb, and that would be the last thing in my system to complete the whole system, because now that I've got my, 4-channel mixer with extra versatility set up for my Plats 1, 2, and 3 and subharmonicon, I actually need the effects unit for that, because this clouds is meant to go with the rings mainly, and this clouds is meant to go with the rings. And those are going to be 4 channels into my Roland, 2 stereo channels. Boom, 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 boom. The rest, Plats 1, 2, 3, and 4 in subharmonicon, into mixer, the last 2 stereo channels. Or last 2, left and right. The last stereo channel. So, and that's all we got. So it should work. I haven't tested this matrix mixer since I just got it by 256K Labs. It's beautiful. Has that nice gold etching and really nice design of the gold etching. Really nice. That's a lot like this and my rings and clouds here. Now, I don't know if this will work, because I've been using the monostation as clock, and I'm set this up as the subharmonicon as clock, because I think the subharmonicon can go way slower, because the circuit monostation only goes down to like 40 BPM, and that translates to pretty fast in my Eurorack usually. I mean, I can change it. I can change it in the setup, but I already did, because I changed it to where it's appropriate for the DFAM. 8 notes per measure sort of thing. How it syncs up. But anyway. So I guess press play on the subharmonicon is what that means. And just, well, press play here. Tempo. Oh, see, it's not saying it's... Okay, so stop. It should say that it's mastered, that it's just synced or something like sync. It should say sync. So I'll shut this off. Shift menu. They're all on. This should be taking the DFAM's clock. Oh, it's because I haven't pressed play yet. Okay. Let's just I was jumping the gun, thinking I was already wrong. Is this recording? Okay. All right. Not like this is interesting or anything, but it might be to somebody. Who knows? Okay, press play. Oh, yeah, see? No? Huh. Is this into the right one? In, out, sync in, clock out. Okay, now it is. I have to press play on the subharmonicon first and then stop and then press play on the monostation basically after the subharmonicon. And now it says sync. Well, that's a little bit different than the circuit. Yeah, hi. Yes, I hear you. Are you telling me that your compatriot wants in the front? Is that what you're saying? You're saying you love pets. That's what you're saying. Yeah, meow. He's a catty. Meow. Yeah. This is Riri Kitty. Okay, so that works. How about this? Looks like the key step tap light is going as per the subharmonicon's speed as well. So excellent. Except when it goes too slow, and then the key step says, "Oh, I'm not detecting anything anymore." Huh. Maybe I want to slow down the monostation's sync rate. I think it might be okay. I'm not going to be sequencing on the monostation, so I guess it doesn't matter as long as the sync rate ends up being slow enough on the key step as well, because from the key step it goes to, nothing. Because I'm not clocking anything actually on the Euro rack. Just my control units, the monostation and the key step today. And the subharmonicon needs a clock, but it is the master clock, so there you go. I love you so much. I love my kitties. Riri's an older kitty now. She's a Maine Coon. But Maine Coons are big. She's actually small for a Maine Coon. Even though she's a big kitty. Okay. I don't hear any sound coming out. That actually doesn't go slow enough either. Oh, yes, it does. Let me start with these way down. But it ends up that the mono station looks like it goes really fast when key step still looks slow, though. Oh! Is this plugged in? Okay. Oh, no wonder. No wonder I had the CV and gate mixed up. Isn't that so classic? I don't think I've ever done that. I mean, I probably have. It's not memorable, though. Oh, oh, level. Okay, now instead of CV volt per octave, I plugged it into plugged CV into level. Okay, it seems to work. Dry. Wet. Middle. Yeah, those are definitely separate signals. You can hear them as separate. Well, I've had lots of lots of fun so far, but all right. So, particle noise, particle noise, particle noise. Oh, oh! I had this going the whole time. Aww. And put some wet on that. Holy cow! This is working exactly how I wanted to. Even though clouds is kind of interesting, how it's like you have to have have the knob on here to over to dry to like. Why would that be? I don't know. I would think you'd want to have it full wet, and then if you want to use this to control it or something external. So this is also particle. No, it's FM. Oh. How about I do fart noise? I mean, filtered noise. F noise. F noise, fart noise, filter noise, whatever. You know what I mean. And I want that morph knob to be morphed by the model station, because I don't want to sit there and turn it myself. And it's got a depth knob, so I can just turn the Platz's attenuator all the way up and work from there with the LFO on the Oxy V, ba-ba-doo-ba-da-ba-doo, and the beep-a-da-ba-dee. Okay, let's work on this filtered noise. Perfect. Perfect. So, this is basically what we've got going here. Okay, thank you everybody for getting through the boring fart. Boring fart. Kitty. Here's my other kitty. Oh yeah, you found out that there's a back door again. Yeah. You remembered. That's where you went out. Was the back door. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then we start with a little... Whoops. Start a little more finesse than that. Shall we start over and just, like, not talk while we do it from here on out? Okay. Okay, cool. See, that way I can keep the dry, just keep the wet signal going as long as it wants to go after I've turned down all the main levels that go into the wet and dry. Because what this Doepher stereo mixer does is it just takes one signal, one signal, one signal, one signal, one signal, four of them, and then just splits those signals, and then does things with them. So if I take down that first knob, then that's the signal into everything, then everything stops except the tail from clouds doesn't stop. So I'm not turning down the mix at the end like this, the main mixer that it's going into. If I do that, it might be abrupt, right? Like, see, like that. It's hard. It's hard to get any kind of movement with that, and it just stops. The point is the audio just stops. And this is one thing I'm avoiding here by doing all of this, is that I do this instead. Watch this. This is my version of the audio just stops. Let's just turn all these down instead. and it's off. I've done it. I'm done. But you still hear it going. You still hear it going. And that's the point. But that's not the main that's not the main thing. It's a bonus. Is that I've solved that problem too. Two birds with one stone, so to speak. So now, the only thing is to say that I'm going to feel comfortable bringing rings in and all the other things too, anything else in, or being able to sequence the plats while doing it my main way. When I get that one extra sequencer, I could always use the mini brute to do have a third melodic control, but I'd rather just do what it takes and not be distracted by other things while I stay focused on what I was supposed to be doing first, which was making sure I had my sequencing for anything I needed to do as like this one main thing that would cover as many synths or voices as I needed it to. And I instead have piecemeal sequencers and things that, they would work for CV if I have a converter, and they would work better for MIDI if I had a hub in some cases, like the circuit. But I don't really need to, and I will, but I'm just gonna have a splitter for that and everything else. But because I don't need a merger, I realized. It's kind of interesting that way. There are times where you need a merger, for sure. So yeah, my matrix mixer works the way I want it to, works well. Haven't tried all the signals through with the knobs, but hey, that's the thing is, I'm a consumer. If I'll try just by going out of those ones too. That'll just take a minute, but yeah, beyond that, I'm a consumer, so like if anything goes wrong, I'll let you know, for sure. But until then, I'm just gonna, be happy with it because I'm happy with it. It's so beautiful, and I love the matte black. It's really nice material. Nicer than some other modules that I have. But it's not quite as gray as this Roland one, which is great. It's more like this one. The Tenderfoot one has that nice one too. That nice matte. And see all these ones, my rings and clouds and platses, they're a bit shinier, which is cool too. But these Moogs are the matte, just like that, kind of just like that. Just like that shade. But they're not completely black, like this. And this Aeon, like the Aeon attenuator. The reason why it doesn't have anything connected to it is because it will never, ever need anything connected to it in the back. You can always just have this just sitting somewhere. Just plug your cords into it. It's an attenuator. It gives an amount of signal to where your cords are. And you sit it in a rack and you screw it in, and it does that for you, but you'll never have to plug it into power because it's passive, so it doesn't need power. Isn't that cool? Bonus. I love Aeon. By the way, this knob, it actually goes over the next module to the to the left of it, because I put a larger knob on this that didn't come with the module. I put a big knob on here because it's the main volume, but it actually goes over the edge of the module. The knob does. The skirt of the knob does, and the knob itself goes slightly over the edge. That's funny. All right. Is this going to be a real recording? I'm going to listen back to it, and if I like the jam part, I might take the jam part out, or I might just title this noodle session. In which case, I'm going to say I hope everybody has a good day. And maybe I should have streamed this on Twitch, and I'll be doing more of that. Although there probably isn't a video to watch right now because it's taken me so long to get back to twitching. All right. But I will. Toodaloo.